Good morning, Dean Singleton. My name is Daniel, and I'm a junior studying finance and business analytics. And in the Student Senate, I work as a Lubin representative senator.
Hi everyone, my name is Alexis Tenorio. I am a senior at the Lubin School of Business, and my major is marketing and advertising. And within SGA, I am the vice president of the Lubin School of Business alongside with Daniela.
Hi, my name is Daniela, and I am a sophomore here on our Pleasantville campus in the Lubin School of Business. I have a major in finance, and in SGA, I am a Lubin student ambassador with my co-ambassador, Angelina.
Hi, my name is Angelina Prevete. I'm a senior at Pace Pleasantville, and I am a public accounting major in the BBA-MBA combined degree program.
And we're excited to be interviewing you today. It's near the end of the semester, so hopefully this interview is a great close for students at the end of the semester.
Yeah, look, I appreciate you reaching out to me. I'm Lawrence Singleton, Dean of the Lubin School. I'm really thrilled to be here. I thoroughly enjoy interacting with students, and I'm sorry it's been limited, this semester because of the pandemic, but hopefully this will help a little bit. And as soon as things open back up, we'll have a lot more opportunities to do things together. So thanks to you both for the opportunity.
Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to meet with us. I know it's definitely probably been a whirlwind of things to do, things to plan for. So my first question is actually, what plans do you have in regards to what you would like to achieve as the Dean of the Lubin School of Business?
Yeah, that's good. Great question, Angelina. Well, let me say first, I've been here about 2 months now. I started in August. It seems like it's been like 2 weeks. It's gone by so fast, and I've met so many wonderful people, but I really am still learning. It takes a while to learn, the landscape of this institution. Every college, university, in some ways, does the same kind of but everybody does it a little bit differently. And I'm certainly finding that that's the case here. All positive stuff. So let me answer your question, kind of broadly. The main things typically that universities and university employees, faculty, and staff engage in are teaching, research, and service. Those are the big three. What I really want us to do broadly is to be recognized as a top business school. Most of the people I've talked to have told me wonderful things about the work they're doing, about the opportunities that they're making available for students. But many of them have also told me that they think Lubin is one of the best kept secrets. And that's not something you want to have as a best kept secret. You want the world to know about all the good work that you do. So generally, I want to help us get more visibility and so on. And really for students, which has always been a big focus of mine, I think our main focus is to educate students and prepare them for what comes after, is to make sure the students who graduate from Lubin have great career opportunities when they graduate.
Thank you so much for that. I definitely agree with you on the best kept secret. I have spoken to a lot of people, and a lot of people, it's kind of 50-50 on whether or not they know about PACE, or sometimes they know more about New York City than Pleasantville. They know PACE for different things. So being a Lubin student, I definitely want people to know who we are and get our name out there.
Right, agree, absolutely.
A lot of students message us on our Student Senate Instagram platform asking about what certifications they should get, if they're really worth it. And I know so many different majors have so many different potential certifications or program certifications they should look into. Do you perhaps have a list or just a few pointers that you could give me that I could relay back to students about certifications that they should really consider this fall? That could set them apart from applying for positions.
Yeah. Well, that's really my answer, Daniel. So you want to do things that set you apart, that differentiate you, that make someone like an employer look at you and say, why would I hire Daniel as opposed to hiring someone else? And with regard to certificates, I think in certifications, it depends on the field. For example, if you want to be an accountant, if you want to be in public accounting, you'll need to be a CPA. That's a license for more than just a certification. If you want to be in finance, you go to Wall Street, there's certain certifications, FINRA certifications and stuff that you need to get as well. In other fields, they're nice to have, but they may not be as important. So I think it depends on the field. The main thing you want to do is set yourself up to differentiate yourself. And one of the ways you can do that while you're in school, and I'm a big believer in this, is get involved in student organizations like SGA, which you guys are very involved in, but there's a lot of other things too. Student organizations based on particular fields. The more that you can show that you're active, in addition to being a good student, the better you're going to be. Good grades matter, but showing that you're a well-rounded person and you can, manage a crowd, operate well in a group setting is also very, very important. Communicate well. So those are the things that I would really focus on, more than just the certification. Although the more things you have on your resume, certainly the better.
All right.
What advice can you give to Lubin students that are graduating this December, or for students that are prepping for their last semester to graduate in May 2021, who are worried about the current state of employment?
Yeah, that's a great question too, Alexis. This morning, I don't know if you heard, the Commerce Department announced that the gross national product in the United States grew at 33.1% on an annualized basis. That's by far the biggest quarterly growth ever in our history. Now, sure, we're recovering from a pandemic, and things have been tough for a while in terms of economic growth, but things are getting much better faster. So that's something that all students should take great comfort in. The economy is coming roaring back, and I don't see any reason why that won't continue, even if the pandemic continues for a while. I know we're having some spikes around the world in certain things, but I doubt that we're going to be shutting down. Hopefully, we won't be. So the economy is coming back strongly. One of the things that I've learned, as I mentioned earlier, I'm still learning a lot about what we have in terms of resources and all that. But one of the things that I know we have at PACE that serves Lubin students very well is a really strong career center. So for students who are graduating now, or even if they're not, even if they're students who are just starting this academic, this academic year as a freshman, I would strongly encourage them to meet with career center people as well as their academic advisors, because there's a lot of opportunity out there. One of the things I was really pleasantly surprised about is the number of relationships that the career center has with employers. And if you think about it, our location in the New York City metropolitan area, whether it's in Manhattan or whether it's in Pleasantville, you really couldn't be in a better place for a business career. I mean, everybody's here. Everybody's right around this area. So there's great opportunities for everyone. So even though we're having a pandemic, even though things are not what they were for years, even though they aren't what they were a year ago, there's still great opportunities and things are getting better fast.
Right. Thank you.
What is your plan for students worrying about their grades because of situations out of their control, especially during the pandemic?
Yeah. Well, let me just say first, I think grades are important. You want to be successful, you want to have as good grades as you possibly can, but they're not the only thing that you need to worry about. But with respect to grades particularly, you should reach out to your faculty members. If you think you're having a particular problem in a particular class, reach out to that person. I still haven't met every single Lubin faculty member, but I'm getting there, and I will meet with every one of them individually. I'm doing one or two a day via a Zoom call, just like this, to kind of get to know them. And even though I can't take them out for a cup of coffee or come visit their office in this, I will get to meet them all. And one of the things that I'm really finding is what a great group of faculty we have in Lubin. I hope you feel the same way. Not to say that you're going to love everybody and get along with everybody perfectly and love every class that you take, certainly, but it really, really is a great group of faculty. And so work with them. If you're having an issue with a grade, or any of your colleagues are, classmates are, reach out to those faculty members and say, I'd like to talk to you about my grade. That's what they're there for. And if you have any problem, let me know. But I can't imagine that you would. I'd also work with with your academic advisors and get their advice. We have a really strong advisement team in Lubin, both in New York City and in Pleasantville, and I would encourage you to work with them. But again, grades are not the only thing. What you do beyond the classroom in terms of making yourself attractive to potential employers, either for an internship or permanent employment, there's other things that matter as well. And also remember that it's not just happening to you, it's happening to students all over the country. It's not just everybody is facing the same kind of challenges with respect to the pandemic.
Thank you.
Okay, so my next question is, what advice do you have for students who are struggling to find their niche within the campus community, especially during the pandemic?
The first thing is I would recommend that students be patient. I met a lot of students over the years who find will often tell me, many of my classmates come here knowing exactly what they wanted to do. They wanted to study. They know, what student organizations they wanted to be a part of. They knew everything. They knew everything when they came to campus. Well, my experience is that most students are not like that. most students really don't know exactly what they want to do and to find their way. So I think that's probably the majority of students, as opposed to a minority of students. So the main thing is be patient and don't freak out about it, and take advantage of all the opportunities that we have. Things are different during the pandemic. There's no question about that. But be patient. Speak with the faculty members you like. For example, if you took a marketing class and you really, this might be the right thing for me, speak with that marketing professor and kind of get their take on opportunities around that field or wherever the field happens to be. And again, go see your academic advisors. I've really been impressed with the team of advisors we have on both campuses. Really amazing people who are there completely to help you be successful.
Thank you.
Dean Singleton, I have a question about jobs and first job experiences. What was your first job experience that you wish somebody told you something that before you began the first job?
Yeah, that's a great question, Daniel. Yeah, the thing that I wish I had known before, and I learned this not long after I started, but is I strongly encourage people when they start their first full-time job in particular, is to do a lot more than is asked of you. I have a lot of friends I've met over the years who started on Wall Street, for example, and they would often say the way that they really were successful and kind of rose up in their company and their organization was they wanted to be sure that they were the first person in the office and the last person in the morning and the last person to leave at night. That's not to say you can't have a life outside of work, but you want to show your bosses that you were there to help the company, help the organization, help them be successful. And so they really to be more of an overachiever, work hard, and show the people around you that you are there to help them be successful. That's, I think, the best advice you can ever get. I remember the first job I took as a professor. I did that because I already heard that lesson along the way. And so I got a reputation at the first university where I was a professor of doing the same thing. I was very involved in student organizations and made sure we were, the top organizations ranked nationally, some of the top ranked university clubs. And it got noticed, people noticed it. And so I think that's really, really important. And I'm not sure enough students really hear that kind of advice before they start their first job. But it's amazing when you have that kind of attitude, like I'm here to help the organization be successful, help your bosses be successful. That goes so far, in determining what your success will be.
That's really helpful. Thank you, Dean Singleton.
My pleasure, yeah.
So as you might have noticed, a lot of our questions are about employment. My next question is also on that. So Pace University isn't considered I quote, a target school for many employers. How do you plan on bringing these employers from well-known companies to our school to recruit our talented Lubin students?
That's also, you guys are asking really good questions here, obviously, thoughtful questions. That's a big deal for you. That's a big focus for me. And I've been at places where the same kind of situation happened. And I'll give you a couple of examples from Pace of things that have already happened since I've been here. I didn't start them, but I've participated in the efforts. On the accounting side, for example, you probably know that Pace University started as an accounting school. It was really a one-room schoolhouse. And for many years, it was recognized as the best place to come get an accounting degree, certainly I would say in the New York City area, no question about that. It's still a hot place for employers to come and get our students. But one of the things I found is that we have a great number of partners, alumni who are partners in big accounting firms, but we don't have a lot of engagement with them. And so that's going to change, and that's going to change very soon. Last week? The time goes by fast. I think it was last week or earlier this week. It was run by the development office, but it was a Big Four Partners Summit. And we had partners from the Big Four accounting firms and some other ones to come in and talk to accounting faculty. And I was there, President Krislov was there, to talk about, what we as a university and as a school can do to make us more attractive. We already put a lot of students in accounting firms, just using that as an example, but we can do a lot better. I would like Lubin to be the #1 place that all the accounting firms in New York come to recruit from. That's what I'd like to see. We also did something a couple of weeks ago. I wasn't as involved for human resource students. We have a lot of alumni who are senior HR executives in the tri-state area. and we don't have the strong connections with a lot of them that we really should have. And I could go on and on. Another area that's really a focus for me is with the big banks. We have strong relationships with some banks, but we don't have with other ones. And I know people, I think, in just about all the big banks from my previous experiences. And as soon as things settle down for me, I'm only a couple of months in, but in coming months, I will be reaching out to my colleagues there, not my colleagues, my contacts there, to arrange for introductions to PACE. So I'd be willing to bet that we have alumni in all the big banks. We just might not know who they all are. We'll find out, and we'll do those kind of things. But for companies where we've never had never had an alum placed there, a student or graduate placed there, the way that you do it, the strategy is to identify one or two students who, great grades, great everything, great records, great resumes, get their foot in the door, let them go to the organization and be successful. And then once that happens, and they say, these students are really, really great, we should recruit more, that's the way you get your foot in the door, and that's the way you ultimately become a target school. But that's a high priority to me. It's one of my highest priorities, to be honest. And there's no reason why we can't do that, because our programs are very strong, and you absolutely cannot beat our locations, both in New York City and in Pleasantville.
So just like you, a lot of students are ending up getting jobs during the pandemic. So what advice do you have for them to kind of get acclimated to where they work, even though it's remote and kind of a struggle in that sense?
Yeah, that's tough. There's no question about that. Even I'll give you an example for me at PACE. I started here in August. When I was being recruited to come here, it was all done like this. And so it's really a challenging time. It's odd, when you get a job and you work on, for example, on an internship, and you're doing it completely remotely. I mean, if you never had an internship before, you don't know anything different, but it really is different than when you can go to an office and shake hands with people and sit down with them and really get to know them across a table. It's really, really difficult. But everybody is facing exactly the same challenges. So you have to make the best of it. Be sure that you dress appropriately. That, when you do all those kind of things, and present yourself well, just like you do in person, and realize it's not going to last forever. But it really is a different time. As I mentioned earlier, when I meet the faculty here in Lubin, very few of them have I met in person. I've met a lot of them, and will ultimately meet them all in person, of course. But I'll meet them all via Zoom in the first place, and it's just not the same. When you work with people, when you talk to people, it's better than nothing. Don't misunderstand me, but it's not the same thing as when you can do it, in person. For example, if you're working as an intern in an accounting firm, for example, and you were helping, with an audit or something, it's nothing better than to sit down next to someone who's been doing this for 2 or 3 years, who can actually help teach you exactly what you're supposed to be doing. It's much more difficult to do that remotely, but it won't last forever, and everybody's dealing with the same problems.
Thank you.
What are you most looking forward to going into 2021? I know it's so close, for Lubin as well as PACE and for yourself. Yeah,
that's also a great question. Well, different people have different theories on this, but my view, when you come in as a leader in an institution like as the Dean of Lubin, what I want to do is be thoughtful. I think I've already identified a lot of opportunities, and I'm not talking a lot about today because I want to get my thoughts, give it more time to let it all sink in. But my view is to, learn the landscape better than I have, and then come up with a strategic plan to actually start to move the school to make it even better than it is now. So my main focus right now is to learn the landscape, to learn, meet more students, get their feedback, meet with faculty, meet with our employers, meet with more of our alumni, to learn more what they see as the opportunities. It's going to take me a while to know as much about PACE and as much about Lubin as you guys already know, as you've been here as students, but be thoughtful in the process. But there's a lot of opportunity for us, and some of them we've already talked about. A very high priority for me is just improving the reputation of the school. Again, it's a great place, but it's a well-kept secret, and there are some things you want to have as secrets, but that's not one of them. You want people to know how great you are as an institution like we have. And another one we've also talked about is to really focus more on student outcomes. PACE does a great job. Lubin does a great job with finding, opportunities for our students. I really believe that from everything I've been able to see so far. But there are places where we can do better. We can do better with some of the organizations that I've mentioned already for all of our students. I mean, there's no reason why our students, and there's no reason why all of our students can have very, very successful outcomes. And it's one of my big jobs is to help move that to the next level. So that's my biggest focus is going to be focusing on students and getting the word out about how great we are and making sure that our programs live up to that.
Thank you.
So you're about to complete your first semester at Lubin as the new dean. What are some strengths you saw within the Lubin School, and what are some things where you see growth, the opportunity for growth?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's some of the strength that I've noticed in the couple of months that I've been here. You said I've been here completing my first year. I'm completing the first couple of months, but it's going by very, very fast. But some things that I've identified in strengths already is, I mentioned these already before. It's a great university, great school of business. I've got lots of experience with universities, lots of experience with business schools, and I can tell you without any hesitation, this is a great place. And I humbly think that you made a great choice by deciding to come to PACE and by deciding to study business in Lubin. I don't think you could have done better. I mean, I think it's a great place, is my point. And again, the location just can't be beat. And I can't think of a better place to be if you want to study business and you want to have good opportunities and good outcomes when you graduate. I can't think of a better place than this part of the country in particular. I mentioned also that we have really, really strong faculty. I'm meeting with each one of them individually. It's amazing to me. I met with one yesterday, a Zoom call like this. His name will remain anonymous and I won't embarrass him. But throughout our conversation, I kept telling him how nice it is to meet someone who's so enthusiastic about what he does. I mean, this guy is just off the charts. And he was telling me about his students who graduated and the wonderful things that they've done and how he stays in touch with them and how he has a spreadsheet. Every student that he's ever taught is in this Excel spreadsheet. He makes notes about them so that when he hears from them or hears that they've done something good 5 years out or 10 years out or whatever it is, he can go back and look and say, oh, yeah, I remember her. She did. So I just think that's just amazing. Not many places have faculty as strong as the ones that I've met here so far. And I've also met the students I've met. I haven't met everybody, of course, because of the pandemic. But those I've met, and you guys on this call today are good examples of it. I've really met, really strong, ambitious students who are eager to learn and who are eager to be successful. So, coming in for me, those things might not have been what I found. I expected it to be the case, but you never know. There are a lot of schools who can't say those things about their students, about the location, about the faculty, about the university, more broadly. But I can honestly say that about you guys, about PACE and about Lubin. It's just a great place to be. For me personally, I can't think of a better place I'd rather be right now. There's no question about it. I'm really just absolutely thrilled for here. So the weakness, it's not really a weakness. It's just the things that I've alluded to before. I mean, we're better than people think we are, than people know that we are. And that's a shame. And I think that's going to change. I know the university is working on a new branding initiative. I'm not sure exactly what the stage of it is. There's a lot of things that we're looking at as a university strategically to get the word out better and to make sure that we stay on the cutting edge. As you know, from your classes and what you read in the Wall Street Journal and other places, the business world is really, really changing. And a challenge for me and a challenge for us as a faculty really is to make sure that the programs that we offer are cutting edge and that they stay relevant. And that's also a big deal for me. I think we're there now, but that's a tough thing. There are some universities you'll learn about as years go by and you'll look at other universities, you'll say, well, the curriculum that those students are taking, well, that could really use some update. That's 10 years old, or even 5 years old, or even 2 or 3 years old in some areas. It needs to constantly be refreshed and constantly be updated because the world is moving so fast.
Thank you very much.
It's my pleasure. I really appreciate the opportunity. I'm sorry we're not doing this, in the Dean's conference room downtown or in the conference room in Pleasantville, somewhere we could do it in person. But let's plan on that when things up and back up. I'd love to get together with you guys. And if it's coffee you drink or whatever you like to drink, I'll be glad to buy that stuff, and we can have another conversation like this. And as the rest of the academic year goes by, I'd love to hear how things are going for you guys. We're hoping to get more and more classes on the ground in the spring. We'll see how that happens. In face-to-face classes. We hope to have more classes that are synchronous as opposed to asynchronous in terms of the Zoom delivery. But I'd love to hear, what your experiences are when you talk to your, your classmates, what they have to tell you about that, because it's important that we continue to deliver world-class education to you despite the pandemic. So I appreciate the opportunity.